with Elizabeth, featuring Del Moore. Number one in the life of Elizabeth occurred when she and Alvin were newlyweds. And Elizabeth, as a newlywed, you have to see to believe. So, let's go see. Elizabeth, how are you tonight? That bad, huh? How'd the biscuits turn out? Elizabeth, you shouldn't take them out of the oven. They might fall. Fluffy anyway.
Hello? Oh, Mama. Mama, why didn't you teach me to cook? I made some biscuits just now, and they look like the ruins of the Acropolis. I wanted to make such a beautiful dinner for Alvin on our first anniversary. Well, of course it is. We've been married a whole week. I know, Mama. I know that. I know all that, Mama, but that doesn't help me now. Well, why didn't you tell me?
Howdy, Elizabeth.
Who are you?
Well, now,
I know who you are, Mom. What are you doing in my house?
Well, the door's open, Elizabeth. Not in the mountains where I come from. If the door's open, you just walk right in.
How do you know my name?
Well, now...
I know you know my name. What did you say?
My name's Moosey Moosefield. I'm an old friend of Alvin's.
Mama, an old friend of Alvin's just walked in. Well, I guess the door was open. I know, Mama.
They call me Moosey because I'm as big as a moose.
Naturally, that makes you as big as a moose. Oh, no. No, Mama. 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 She hung up.
Well, it ain't polite to call your mama a moose.
I think I've heard Alvin speak of you, Moosey, but he isn't home yet. Why don't you come back tomorrow?
Mamas are very sensitive about being called moosies.
Moosey, I have to cook dinner for Alvin.
Well, I'll just sit here while you're doing it.
Well, I get a little nervous. Why don't you go watch television or something?
Something burning?
Oh!
Never thought any woman would trap old Alvin. No, sir. I recollect the time him and old Joe Cronkite and me, we was talking about getting hitched, and we said...
Mama, is tapioca supposed to explode? Well, it did explode. The kitchen looks like it's full of popcorn. I know, Mom. I did all that. Eggs and milk and tapioca. I know, Mama. No, Mama, I didn't call you Moose. All right. Oh, goodbye, Mama. Eggs, milk, tapioca. She says I might have dropped some lighter fluid in them by mistake.
Oh, pudding, Elizabeth. Say, looks like some donuts fell in your mashed potatoes.
That's spaghetti and meatballs.
Why, it looks like mighty lively meat, Elizabeth.
Mama, the meatballs bounced. Well, and then the meatballs, and then the tapioca had exploded. And when it started, the meatballs bouncing all over his stomach. He might have been killed. Okay.
Now, Elizabeth, you oughtn't to carry on that away.
I'm just no good, Moosey. I wanted to have such a nice dinner for Alvin on our first anniversary. And the only things that turned out right were the candles.
Oh, no, I wouldn't say that. Well, why, this Italian pizza, it looks real good.
Italian pizza?
Uh-huh.
That's angel food. I'm just no good. I shouldn't be allowed near a kitchen. Elizabeth Borgia, they'll call me. The poisoner of 49th Street. Alvin hasn't had one decent meal all week. What are you doing?
This here's a recipe I learned up in the Dakotas.
What's it called?
Sioux City stew. Yes, sir. Alvin liked it real well when we was camping up in the Sierras. Say, Elizabeth, hand me that spring potato over yonder, would you, please?
Is this a spring potato?
Why, sure. See the spring? Yes, sir. Hey, you better turn off the fire under that pudding. It ought to be about done now.
Sure, Moosey. It looks beautiful.
Natural. See, I put on the spaghetti sauce, too.
I don't know how I'm ever going to thank you. Every meal I've cooked so far has been burned.
Oh, that's all right, Elizabeth. Well, I'll put this on the stove. There.
Moosey, come here quick.
Huh?
I hear Alvin's car pulling up.
Well, I'll go let him in.
No, Moosey.
Huh?
Will you do me a favor? Will you sneak out the back door and let me pretend I cooked the meal? I want Alvin to be proud of me.
Well, sure I will. I like you, Elizabeth. You're a real nice young heifer.
And you're the nicest moose I've ever known.
Thank you. Oh, now, don't forget. The stew will be ready in about 15 minutes, and drain the water off the spaghetti in about 5 minutes.
Stew in 15 and spaghetti 5.
Bye, Elizabeth. Oh, another thing. Now, put the sauce on the spaghetti, not in the stew. Bye, Elizabeth.
That's awesome. Goodbye. Thank you.
Hi, darling. Oh, hello. What's that I smell?
What?
It smells like unburnt food. Oh. Honey, you did this yourself?
Come on, sit down.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, I forgot. I met a friend of mine out front. I'll call him. Hey, Moosey! Elizabeth, I want you to meet my friend, Moosey Moosefield.
Howdy, Elizabeth.
You two act like you've met.
Well, we've howdied, but we ain't shook.
I'm shaking now.
Let's see. Get your place right here, Moose.
Oh, fine. Yeah, thank you, Alvin.
Yes, sir. You haven't tried Elizabeth's cooking, have you?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Sierra's never like this.
No?
Oh, brother. What's the matter, honey?
Alvin, I have a confession.
Did I ever tell you about a young heifer I knew once who talked too much? Big Mouth Annie, we used to call her. That girl never did learn that a happy husband don't have to know everything. I'll have some of this stew, Elizabeth.
I shall leave you at this point, Elizabeth.
Why?
I'm going to go get a bigger spoon. We'll never get to it that way.
Oh, Lucy.
Elizabeth, aren't you ashamed? Thank you. In just a moment, we'll bring you incident number 2 in Life with Elizabeth. Incident number 2 in the life of Elizabeth occurred because, 1, she'd been reading a magazine again, or 2, she's trying to cover up for something she's done. You never know how Elizabeth's mind is going to work.
Careful you don't get a burn. Any minute now, you're going to tell me that you can hear the waves washing up on the shore.
I can. I can also hear the wax ironing down by the beach.
Once again, I ask you, why did you do all this?
Just so you could walk around saying, Dr. Livingston, I presume. Time to get back to work. As my husband slowly sinks through the floor, we leave the little island.
Elizabeth, look, I know you. You're covering up some minor atrocity of yours. The car. You had the car today.
Which is correct, Alvin? Earthy dirt or dirty earth?
That's what you've done. You ruined the car. Why else would you make a jungle out of the front room?
Page 17.
Elizabeth, come out of the jungle. You haven't had your shots yet.
There's an article in this magazine, sweetheart, that tells all about it.
Come home from work, and what do? I walk into a paradise, all right, right in the living room. Nothing but leaves.
Not leaves, sweetheart, fronds. As a matter of fact...
Don't you say it. What you were going to say?
I was just going to say these are fronds of mine. Here's the article, here. It's called, Does Your House Look Like a Home? Don't you like the way they word these things, honey?
Not especially, no.
And then it goes on to say, here it is. Why not bring the outdoors indoors?
What does that mean?
Are you trying to be sarcastic, Alvin?
Maybe you can tell me how we can bring the outdoors indoors.
Open a window?
I still say that stupid statement. Indoors.
Well, all they mean is bring a few plants in the house. They don't expect you to put Mount Baldy in the den.
Hey, okay. Go on, I'm sorry.
Well, of course, these people went overboard, but look at that. Isn't that beautiful, Alvin? See, they didn't even buy a front room rug.
Looks like a rug to me.
It isn't. It's a swimming pool.
Let me see that.
I told you they went overboard.
They must be kidding.
Well, you must admit there's nothing like drowning in the front room.
This says the Petersons converted their home into a tropical paradise. It's known as the Tahiti of 193rd Street.
There's one on the next page that's called the Honolulu of Hogan's Alley.
Everything in the house is tropical. Orchids bloom in the fireplace.
Sounds wonderful.
Well, how do they keep the place warm?
Steam from the jungle.
There's a waterfall in the hall closet, and tropical insects buzz in the patio.
I bet we could buy the place for a sarong.
You've succeeded again, haven't you, Elizabeth?
What?
In getting my mind off the subject of the car.
You didn't finish the article, sweetheart. Waterfall in the hall closet, tropical insects in the patio. They've even converted the kitchen into a swamp.
What?
Thought that'd get your mutt. I mean, how about that?
Swamp. How does she get from the sink to the stove?
Stepping stones. That's her picture.
She looks sick.
She is. Caught malaria while she was doing dishes.
How about her husband?
He got bitten in the pantry by a cobra.
You always go a little too far. Now, do you mind if we get back to the subject of the car?
Oh, back to work. You want to bring me my gun?
Elizabeth, I was talking to you.
Oh, seriously, Alvin, I don't want to make a jungle out of the living room, but I do think it'd be nice to have a few plants in the window box.
Well, that's all right by me, but what about these palms?
Oh, we can take care of those later. I only brought them in to get them out of the sun.
Oh, I forgot for a minute. Palms, that's right. They can't stand the sun. Elizabeth, shouldn't the window box be on the outside of the window?
Not if you want the flowers inside the house.
One thing about you, honey, you always have an answer. I suppose it would be too much trouble to go out and pick the flowers and bring them in.
In all that rain?
No, what spring?
It says right here in the catalog. These flowers won't be in bloom for another 6 months. By that time, it'll be raining. If you think I'm going to go out there and catch pneumonia, pick the
Where does
flowers.
it say anything about 6 months?
Right there.
I hate to disillusion you, Elizabeth, but it says that these seeds won't be in bloom for 2 years.
I know, but that's last year's catalog.
Honey, I happen to know that you're not this stupid. Now, what are you doing that you don't want me to find out?
You want to hand me the sprinkler over there, Alvin?
Elizabeth, I asked you a question. What are you hiding from me?
Right here, I'm going to plant beets. Can I tell you about the policeman who fell asleep on the beach?
Elizabeth. Shouldn't the window box be on the outside of the window rather than inside here?
It's safer here.
Why? What happened to the one outside?
I scraped it off with the car. See, honey, I was backing out, and one of the car doors swung open, and it scraped it off the window.
Never mind about the window box. What happened to the car?
No doors.
Come here, dear. Repeat after me. I am a dummy.
I am a dummy.
I have no brains.
I have no brains.
I am stupid.
So am I.
Thank you. And in just a moment, we'll bring you incident number 3 in Life with Elizabeth. Incident number 3 in the life of Elizabeth occurred the night the Underhills came to dinner. Now, Mr. Underhill worked at the office with Alvin, but Mrs. Underhill was a complete surprise. I see dinner's over, and Mrs. Underhill seemed to be having a good time. Oh, my gosh, look at Elizabeth and her partner. Okay, kids, you can come to life now.
But you're such a young man to have such a position of responsibility. Isn't he, dear?
Huh? I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
He's such a young man to have such a position of responsibility.
Oh, yes, he is, dear.
And it was so nice of you to ask us over this evening. Wasn't it, dear?
What?
It was nice of us to ask you over tonight.
Oh, yes, it was, dear.
Well, you see, Mrs. Underhill, Alvin and I have always believed in the good neighbor policy when it comes to his friends at the office. Haven't we, dear?
Yes, we have, dear.
Mrs. Underhill seems so formal. Do you mind if we call you Francis?
Why, of course not. Alvin.
What do you want to call her Frances for, Alvin?
Why not?
Her name's Claudette.
I'm Francis.
That's another way of being frank. Frank, it was a joke.
I think Alvin's such a manly name, and yet it has such a soft sound, like a caress.
Really? Correct. Why don't you go put the coffee on, dear? I'm sure Claudette would care for some.
Oh, don't go to any bother. I take cream in one lump.
Oh, wait. I'm a little short on cream, but I can give you plenty of lumps.
Help.
Now, don't jump up like that. I'll be right back.
Really ought to help her.
Then why don't you?
Francis.
Francis was just being frank.
the same joke.
Oh, but not half so well. You know, Alvin, I'm one of those people that when I like somebody, I really like them.
Oh, well.
I think your wife has wonderful taste in men. Thank you, Mrs. Underhand. Gave me such a fright.
Mrs. Underhill, not Mrs. Underhand, Elizabeth.
You mispronounce it your way, I'll mispronounce it mine.
Oh, why don't you call me Claudette? Alvin does.
In French, doesn't Claudette mean little claw?
Let's move the furniture, Francis. Come on, here we go. Back to the
Alvin, what are
furniture.
you doing?
Well, I promised Claudette a dance before they left.
Well, isn't it a little late?
Oh, don't stop him. I just love to dance. You know, when I was a little girl, I used to be able to kick the back of my head.
That explains a few things.
Now, come on, Francis. You've got to pick out a good record.
Get rid of them.
Honey, don't be like that. They're leaving in a few minutes. We have to be nice to them.
Give me one good reason why.
Come on, Alvin. You two can talk to each other any time. Oh, that's wonderful.
You like that?
Yes.
Well, I get a little trickier as we go in. Get there.
May I have this waltz?
Of course.
You lead.
Is that the one?
Hey, what's the idea? We just got started good.
Francis and I are tired.
And it's getting late, Lovebird. I have to be up early in the morning.
Dear, and just when the party was getting
Oh,
started.
there'll be other nights.
Oh, well. Come on. Thank you, Alvin. It was so much fun.
No.
Thank you.
Good night, Alvin.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Stand at the door. What's that third step, Claudette? It's tricky. Oops, oops. Glad that's over with. Thought they'd never leave.
Did you have a good time, Dr. Jekyll?
Where do you get the Dr. Jekyll stuff?
Tonight I saw an Alvin I didn't know existed.
Just having a good time.
Tonight the man I married turned into a whimpering, simpering, fawning idiot.
I didn't simper.
You should have seen yourself just now. Look out for that third step, Claudette. It's tricky. Oops. Oops.
What's wrong with that? Third step does need fixing.
Poor Francis could have fallen in a manhole and you wouldn't have said one word.
Look, poor Francis wouldn't have enough energy to fall in a manhole.
Speaking of energy, where did you get up all that steam to do that ridiculous dance? I've seen you get all worn out from jumping to a conclusion.
Is that supposed to be a funny remark?
Maybe Claudette could do better.
Oh, honey, now look, wait a minute. Look, she's not really a bad kid. She's trying to have a little fun. Let's forget the whole thing, okay?
All right. I'll do it, just for you.
That's my girl.
Alvin's such a manly name.
Oh, cut it out, honey.
I'm the kind of a person, when I like somebody, I really like them. Don't call me Elizabeth. Call me Claudette. Alvin does.
You know something? I think you're jealous because you couldn't do the Charleston the way we did.
You know something? I'd be ashamed to do the Charleston the way you did.
Now, don't criticize Elizabeth unless you can do better. You take care of the waltzing in the family. I'll do the more intricate stuff.
Someday I'll show you. Come in.
Oh, Alvin, I forgot my purse.
Well, Claudette. Good
I have no idea where I left it.
Oh, really?
Come here, Francis. Play the tracks.
Say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. And in just a moment, Betty White will return to say goodbye. And now here to say goodbye to you is the lovely star of our show, Betty White.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I wish you could have stayed around for just a few minutes more in that last sketch. Claudette finally got quite a kick out of Elizabeth. Once more till we see you again. Goodbye, everybody.